Imagine standing at a crossroads where chaos surrounds you, where every direction pulls you toward confusion and turmoil. What would you do? Would you plunge into the storm, or would you seek refuge until the tempest passes? This is the dilemma Muslims face during times of tribulation, and the wisdom of our scholars offers us a profound answer. Imam Al-Nawawi, one of Islam's greatest jurists, demonstrated remarkable understanding when he recommended solitude during times of corruption and tribulation. This isn't an invitation to abandon society entirely, but rather a carefully considered response to specific circumstances. When tribulation spreads and a person fears that engagement might compromise their faith, cause bloodshed, or lead them to assist in wrongdoing, then isolation becomes one of the highest forms of religious caution. This represents a sophisticated grasp of Islamic jurisprudence, recognizing that while Islam is fundamentally a religion of community, there are exceptional moments when withdrawal serves a higher purpose. The foundation of Islamic teaching emphasizes community engagement. The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, taught that the believer who mixes with people and patiently endures their harm is superior to one who isolates himself and cannot bear their difficulties. Islam thrives on congregation. Consider the abundant rewards a Muslim gains through communal worship. Congregational prayers, Friday prayers, festival celebrations, and attending circles of knowledge. Through social interaction, people learn from one another, teach each other, offer counsel, provide benefit, relieve distress, settle debts, and bring joy to fellow believers' hearts. However, solitude becomes recommended under specific conditions, particularly when the harm of mixing with people outweighs the benefit. When social interaction leads to diminished faith or falling into prohibited acts due to widespread moral decay, withdrawal becomes necessary. The prophetic tradition warns that when you witness greed being obeyed, whims being followed, and everyone impressed with their own opinion, then occupy yourself with your own concerns. While we live in times where tribulations are widespread, this doesn't mean Muslims should completely isolate from all people. By the grace of Allah, goodness still exists in mosques and wholesome gatherings. Yet even in peaceful times, Muslims cannot do without some degree of solitude. Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal declared that he found solitude more comforting to his heart. Among the greatest benefits of solitude is finding intimacy with Allah. Before his prophethood, the Prophet used to withdraw to the cave of Hira, spending nights in contemplation and worship. When performing night prayers, he would seclude himself. Once he told Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her, to let him worship his Lord, as longing for meeting Allah had overwhelmed his heart. She described how he wept in prostration until the earth became wet. This seclusion profoundly affects the heart. When no one accompanies you, you sense your closeness to Allah and your yearning for meeting Him. When at home, while it's important to engage with family, bringing joy and teaching them, this doesn't mean all time should disappear in idle conversation. Even while with family, one can withdraw to pray voluntary prayers, recite the Quran, or make supplications. When children observe their father in prayer at home or reading the Quran, they learn this lesson practically. However, solitude requires certain conditions. An ignorant person alone might fall into disobedience when Satan beautifies sin for them. Knowledge and spiritual discipline must accompany withdrawal. Allah commands us to flee to Him. This flight takes many forms. Flee from attachment to anything besides Allah. Flee from false worship to Allah alone. Flee from sins toward obedience, and flee from heedlessness toward constant remembrance. Flee from excessive worldly engagement to find intimacy with Allah through solitude. One companion, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, may Allah be pleased with him, exemplified this wisdom during civil strife. After the assassination of Uthman, Sa'd withdrew to his camels on the outskirts of Medina. When his son came questioning why he had isolated himself while people fought over authority, Sa'd recited the prophetic saying, "Verily, Allah loves the servant who is pious, self-sufficient, and unnoticed." Sa'd refused to participate, stating he wouldn't emerge until given a sword that would harmlessly turn away from Muslims but effectively strike disbelievers. Such a sword doesn't exist, illustrating the impossibility of righteous participation in civil conflict among believers. The Prophet foretold tribulations where the seated would be better than the standing better than the walking, and the walking better than the running toward conflict. Muslims should heed this during times of strife. We've witnessed what tribulations have inflicted upon Muslims when some rose against their rulers through demonstrations and coups, resulting in millions becoming victims. Who benefits from such bloodshed except the enemies of Islam? This religion is one of community and mercy, as our Prophet taught that unity is mercy, while division is punishment. We ask Allah to unite the Muslims upon truth everywhere, to protect our lands from tribulations both apparent and hidden, to unite our hearts, and to perpetuate upon us the blessing of security and faith.